So we are going to continue styling our list items, and this is what we did in our last video. We styled the nav and the unordered list. So if we go back to our web page, so this is how it looks. This is what we did in our last video. So we are going to continue on from here. We're going to start styling the list item. We have worked on the navs, we have worked on the UL, and now we want to go over to the list item. So we can actually come here and do something like this. Let me create some space here. So we can do something like this. We can say nav, and we can say UL, and we can say list item. List, you can also say LI, but we are not going to do it this way. Okay, we are not going to do it this way. What we are going to do is, let's just get rid of this. We are going to go over to our index.html and we are going to give this a class. Now in this website, we are going to be floating some list items to the left, and we are going to be floating some of them to the right. So we are going to be floating this restaurant, this first list item to the left, and we are going to float the rest of them to the right. Okay, so we are going to give this a particular class. We are going to give from here. We are going to give from here downwards. We're going to give this other list item a class. Okay, but we are not going to give a class to the first we're not going to give a class to this first list item. So to give a class, you come inside the list item, you create your space, and we are going to give this class, and we are going to call this class a since we are floating this to the right, we are going to call it nav right, nav-right. And now let's copy this class and paste it in the other list item. Then let's paste it here. So now we have pasted the nav rights to our, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 7 list items. So we have given 6 of the list item a class of nav rights, but we didn't give this first list item a class, but we gave the rest list item a class. Now what we are going to do inside of our CSS, we are going to say UL. Let's go back to our index.html. We are going to give this unordered list a class, because we might have in the long run we might have another list items inside of our web page. So we want to be specific. Okay, we don't want to cause confusion. So we are going to give this another list a class, because we might have another list item inside of our web page in the long run. Okay, so we are going to give this another list a class. Okay, so there won't be any confusion. So we are going to give this a class of top nav. So after another list, we have a top nav, and then we have list item. So now what we are going to do inside of our styles.css, we are going to say ul dot top nav, which is that class. Like I said, we are going to be working with the list item. Okay, so after the ul dot top nav, we are going to call our list item. Now let's style this list item. Now what we are going to be giving to this list item, we are going to style it with a list style of none. Now what this list style of none does is it removes the bullet points from our list item. Now you won't be able to see the list item because we gave this a margin of 0. So but the bullet point is over here. So if you refresh this, the bullet point is gone. Okay, it's just 2 round dots by the side of the list item. So now it's gone. Okay, so that is what the list style does. Now the next thing we need to do to this list item, remember we are going to be floating some of them left, and we are going to be floating some of them right. Okay, so we'll say float. At first we're going to float left, because we are going to float one of the list item, which is the first list item. We are going to float it left. So by doing this, we are floating everything, all the list item left. So if you refresh this, now you can see they are all floated left. Now don't worry, the way this looks, we are going to we are going to improve this, and this is going to look good. So you can see now they are now floated to the left. Okay, so now we need to float some of them to the right. We need to float out of the 7 list items, we need to float 6 of them to the left. Okay, so what we do now is we say ul dot top nav, say li, and then li dot nav hyphen right, nav right. So this is that. Okay, so if we go over to our index.html now, you can see we have an ul. After a ul we have a top nav, and after a top nav we have an li. So this li now we are calling this class. So any styling we give to this class now, it will affect this 6 list item. Okay, so we are calling the nav right. Okay, so if we go back to our web page now, we are going to float this we are going to float this to the right. So say float right. We are going to call a float. We are floating this to the right. So if we refresh this now you can see some of the list items over here, they are now floated to the right, and you can see the restaurant is floated to the left. So this restaurant here is acting more like the logo. It's acting like the logo of our web page. So this is the other list item. You can see now they are floated to the right. Okay, so so what we need to do now, we need to work with the link. We need to work with the anchor tag. So to do that, say ul dot top nav li and anchor tag. So say ul, we got the ul, we got the top nav, and then we get the li, and then we are working with the link, which is the anchor tag. And what we need to do with this link now, we need to display it as a block. It's very important to display as a block. Display block. Text decoration. We are giving the text decoration to none. Now by setting this text decoration to none, it's going to remove the underline underneath this text. It's going to remove the underline underneath this text. So if we refresh this now you can see the underline, they are now removed from the text. So what we need to do now is we're going to give this a color. We're going to give this a color of white. Color of white. To refresh. Now we have a color of white. So we need some padding, and we also need some padding. Let's give this a padding. I'm going to give this a padding of 14 pixels because we need some space. We'll give this a padding of 14 pixels. Refresh. Now you can see the space. You can see how beautiful this looks. Now you can see our padding. You can see this is our link. You can see we have some other list items by the right hand side, and we have the logo here, which is the restaurant, on the left hand side. Now you can see the space. You can see this padding. You can see the padding all over of our list items. You can see the padding. So what we need here now, this is for the anchor tag. We gave it a display of block, text decoration of none, a color of white, and a padding of 14 pixels. Now one thing we need to do now, last thing we need to do here is we need to give this a font size. Now you can give it a font size of anything, but I'm going to give it a font size of 16 pixels. Now if we refresh, Refresh now. You can see the font size is we have a font size of 16 pixels. It didn't really do much. It didn't really add much font size to it, and we can increase this if we want. Let's just we can give it a font size of 25 pixels. Now you can see how big this is, but I think it's too big. The font size of this list item is too big, so let's just bring it down. Let's bring it down to 20 pixels for the font size. Now you can remember, you can play with your code. Just keep playing with your code. It's a good practice. So refresh this. Now we now have a font size of a 20 pixels. Now you can see this is our font size of 20 pixels. So in the next lecture, we are going to work on the hover effect. So when we hover over our link, when we hover over this, we are going to get a nice hover effect, so that when a user comes to our web page and hover over our link, it's going to have a good effect. Okay, so in the next lecture, we are going to work on that, and in further lectures, we are going to make our list, we are going to make our web page and our navbar mobile responsive. So when a user is using a mobile to view our web page, there are not going to be any problems. Okay, so in the next and in future tutorials, we are going to be making our navbar mobile responsive. So I'll see you guys in the next lecture, where we will be working with our hover effect.